today we are doing Unit 7B, Mission 4, looking at different types of data displays. So we're going to be just answering all different sorts of questions about pie graphs, histograms, line plots, bar graphs, all that fun stuff today. So our first question says, for a school dance, the teachers surveyed their students to see which type of music is most popular. The table below shows the results. So as you can see here, hip hop was the most favorite, 37% of the students. The next favorite was pop, then the next favorite was rock, and the least favorite was country. So it says which circle graph best displays the data in the table. So we know our largest slice of the pie should be hip hop, and our smallest slice of the pie should be country. If we look at those two, that should help us out a little bit. I'm going to just use those two pieces of information to help narrow it down. And this first one is our biggest slice. This biggest slice right here is hip hop. That's good. Is country our smallest slice? Rock is our smallest slice there, so that one can't be right. Our next one, we have hip hop is our biggest, which is true, and our smallest is country, so that could be a good answer so far. Let's look at the next one. This one, hip hop is our largest slice and country is our smallest slice, so it could be that one as well. On the next one, we have our largest slice is pop. Well, that's not right, so we know that one's out. So we have these two circles left. So which one, based on our other two pieces of information, makes sense? So our last two pieces are looking at pop and rock. Between those two, pop should be bigger than rock. So here, is pop bigger than rock? Doesn't look like it there. Here, is pop bigger than rock? And I believe yes it is. So this one here should be our best data display. Our percentages match the slices of pie. Let's look at our next pie graph. It says about what percent of the students received an A. So receiving an A is this slice here. Well, 50% of our data would be half of it. If I was to draw a line straight across here, I'm just going to go 50% would be that much, so it can't be 50%. 60% down here is more than 50, so it can't be that. It's got to be less than 50, right? Less than 50%. So it's either 25% or 42%. Well, 25% here, you guys, 25%, wouldn't that be like a fourth of your data? And a fourth, we have more than a fourth. What about 42%? 42% is a little bit less than 50. So I would say this would be the closest guess that we can make just based on the graph that we're given. 25% was too less, and the others are too much. Oops, I skipped one. All right, next question. It says BMS students participating in after-school activities. We have PM Sports, ZAP, Drama Club, and Art Club. What activity did most students participate in? You can look at the percentages, but you can also look at our graph here. And this one's a little bit tilted, so the best way to answer this would be to look at the percentages that are listed here. So the largest percent, PM Sports was 30 and ZAP was 35%. So our answer there would be ZAP. It says if 240 students were surveyed, how many were in PM Sports? PM Sports was 30%. This is actually a problem where we're going to set up our proportion, our percent problem. Remember, part out of total, and then percent out of 100%. So we know we're looking at 30% out of 100%, and the total number of people that were surveyed was 240. So we want to figure out, well, what's the part that were in PM Sports? So let's cross multiply. 100 times x is 100x. 240 times 30. I'm going to need my calculator for that one. 240 times 30 gives me 7,200. Now this is just a one-step equation, so we need to divide by 100. And we get x equals 72. So there were 72 students were in PM Sports. Last question here. It says if 240 students were surveyed, so same number of students, how many more people picked PM Sports than Drama Club? Well, we don't know how many people picked Drama Club, but we can figure it out the same way. How many people out of 240 picked Drama Club? And Drama Club was 20% out of 100%. So if we cross multiply here, 240 times 20 is 4,800. And then divide by 100. It just moves our decimal 2 spots. So 48 people picked drama. But that's not the answer they were looking for. They want to know how many more people picked PM Sports than Drama Club. So what are we really going to do with these two numbers? Well, you just got to subtract. 72 picked PM Sports. Subtract the people that picked drama, and it'll tell you how many more picked PM Sports. So 72 minus 48 gives me 24 students. There's 24 more people that picked PM Sports than Drama Club. All right, next, this is not a bar graph. Remember, this is a histogram. Histogram looks at ranges or intervals. First question says, how many people rented at least 6 movies during the summer? So number of movies rented down here, 6 falls in this category. They wanted to say at least 6, so that includes all of these categories to the right as well. So here, this is 7 people in this section. I believe if we follow this over, 5 in that section. And then down here, 2 in that section. So if we add those up, 7 plus 5 plus 2, well, 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 7 is 14. There were 14 people that rented at least 6 movies during the summer. Our second question, how many people rented between 3 and 11 movies over the summer? So we need to be careful here, between 3 and 11. So that's here and greater, but less than 11. So we're looking for these 3 bars here in the middle. So this one was 8 people, this one was 7, and this one we just looked at was 5. So 8 plus 7 plus 5. And this is simply showing my work right here, so I know which 3 bars I'm looking at. Which 3 intervals, I guess you could call it. 7 plus 8 is 15, plus 5 more is 20. 20 people rented between 3 and 11 movies over the summer. We do have a couple more questions. This is a line graph or a line plot. Because, P-L-O-T. Because we have a line, and you can see like 98% was scored by 2 people. This is science test scores. So 2 people got 98%, 4 people got 97%, 3 people, 2 people, and so on. So it says how many students received a score of 94%? Well, 94 is right here. That was 2 people. I'm going to shorten it. What was the highest score in the class? The highest percentage was up here on the right side, 98%, and 2 people got that score. But they want to know what was the highest score. It was 98%. What was the lowest score? Lowest score was 88%. Nobody failed the test. And then how many students received a score in the 80s? So 80s would be only these 2 bars. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 X's there. So there's 10 students, 10 people scored in the 80s. All right. This last one, It says try it on your own. That's our pencil is ready. And then go ahead and click play and see if you can get the questions right. First question, in what area does Carrie budget the most money for each month? What percent is it? So here's Carrie's monthly budget. I know yours doesn't have color, so you can look up at the screen. The most amount of money would be the largest section. So you can look at the percents. 32% would be the largest, and that's the color dark blue, which is housing. She spends the most money on housing each month, or budgets. I mean, she sets that money aside, and that's 32%. It says if Carrie's take-home pay is $3,000 per month, if she each month gets $3,000, how much money has she budgeted for housing? So we're going to set up a proportion and cross-multiply. Part of total, percent out of 100. And we know she gets a total of $3,000 each month. And housing is 32% out of 100%. We want to know what's the part that she actually has to pay for her house or her apartment, whatever it is. So 100 times x is 100x. 32 times 3,000 gives us 96,000. And then divide by 100. And we get x equals 960. And we're talking about money. So she budgets or sets aside $960 for housing each month. To you, that might seem like a lot of money, but it's really not that much. So your homework is just like this, looking at the different graphs and answering the questions to follow. If you have any questions,